notice online for Reverend Vincent Roshi is about to be opened. If you haven't seen Roshi in the last month and would like to add a notice on, please raise your hand. Thank you. a sign with Reverend Vincent Roshi, please raise your hand.
Please prepare for Teisho and sit comfortably facing the teachers. Thank you. We'll recite the Gatha on opening the Sutra, which is on page 8 of the liturgy book. Gatha on opening the Sutra. The Dharma incomparably profound and infinitely subtle is rarely encountered even in millions of ages. Now we see it, hear it, receive and maintain it. May we completely realize the Tathagata's true meaning.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out tonight on this rainy, kind of blustery fall night after such a gorgeous and resplendent fall day. How lucky we are to be living in a place where the seasons change so spectacularly. So we continue on with our exploration of the Gateless Gate, which is really one of the seminal texts for Zen practitioners. And we have some new folks here. So I'm going to read the case again. This is actually the third week that we're working on this case, and we should be wrapping it up tonight. But I think for the sake of clarity and memory, we'll read the case again together. Okay, this is Hakujo and the Fox. Whenever Master Hakujo delivered a sermon, an old man was always there listening with the monks. The master asked him, "What man are you standing in front of me?" The old man replied, "Indeed, I am not a man. In the past, in the time of Kashyapa Buddha, I lived on this mountain as a Zen priest. On one occasion, a monk asked me, 'Does a perfectly enlightened person fall under the law of cause and effect or not?' I answered, he does not. Because of this answer, I fell into the state of a fox for 500 lives. Now I beg you, Master, please say a turning word on my behalf and release me from the body of a fox. Then he asked, does a perfectly enlightened person fall under the law of cause and effect or not? The Master answered, the law of cause and effect cannot be obscured. Upon hearing this, the old man immediately became deeply enlightened. Making his bows, he said, I have now been released from the body of the fox and will be behind the mountain. I dare to make a request of the Master. Please perform my funeral as you would for a deceased priest. The Master had the Ino strike the anvil with the gavel and announced to the monks that after the meal there would be a funeral service for a deceased priest. The monks wondered, saying, all are healthy. No one is sick in the infirmary. What is this all about? After the meal, the Master led the monks to the foot of a rock behind the mountain, and with his staff poked out the dead body of a fox. He then performed the ceremony of cremation. That evening, the Master ascended the rostrum in the hall and told the monks the whole story. Obaku thereupon asked, the man of old missed the turning word and fell to the state of a fox for 500 lives. Suppose every time he answered he made no mistakes. What would happen then? The Master said, just come nearer and I'll tell you. Obako then went up to the Master and slapped him. The Master clapped his hands and laughing loudly said, I thought the barbarian's beard was red, but here is a barbarian with a red beard. Mumon's commentary. Not falling under the law of cause and effect, for what reason had he fallen into the state of a fox? The law of cause and effect cannot be obscured. For that reason, he has been released from the body of a fox. If, in regard to this, you have the one eye, then you will understand that the former Hakujo enjoyed 500 lives of grace as a fox. The verse, not falling, not obscuring, two faces, one die, not obscuring, not falling, 1,000 mistakes, 10,000 mistakes. And that is the end of the case. So a lot of new moving parts, and we've been going through them. And tonight we're going to particularly look at the commentary and at the verse. So we will open the grimoire. We watched Hocus Pocus 2 last night. They too have a grimoire. Okay. Okay, so the verses in the commentary are often kind of even more obscure than the case itself, so don't despair. There are I can't go into everything tonight, but there's a lot of sort of like background information you need in order to really fully understand the case. Like, what about the barbarian's beard? What are they talking about there? Well, they're talking about Bodhidharma, because Bodhidharma was the strange, tall Indian with the beard that came to China, and Chinese men don't easily grow beards, so he was always stuck out. So let's look at the commentary. Not falling under the law of cause and effect. For what reason had he fallen into the state of a fox? So this is really pointing us directly to that place in our practice where we've gotten a real taste of the direct experience of emptiness, not just the intellectual understanding of codependent arising, codependent origination, not just the intellectual understanding of impermanence. And with that direct experience of the Absolute comes a tremendous amount of power and clarity. And we know for ourselves that we are not born and we won't die. We know for ourselves that all is well, all manner of things is well. So it's very easy to get seduced by that cave of it's all fine, everything's perfect, there's nothing that can be touched. The thread that I am and that I hold will never break. Right? But for this monk, this priest, when he answered the question with, no, the enlightened person does not fall under the law of cause and effect, he was a little bit leaning into the absolute, right? Remember, the Mahayana turn, the special sort of sauce of our practice is that we're always integrating form and emptiness and form. Otherwise, the bodhisattva can't function. No form, no relative, no functionality. The law of cause and effect cannot be obscured. For what reason has he been released from the fox body? Well, every once in a while, there's a turning word, right? Somebody says something to you, or your foot hits the ground just in the right way, or that leaf falls in front of you just perfectly, or the bird speaks in a certain way, and something changes, something shifts in your heart and in your mind. And we all know this. This happens all the time. Many, many, many times a day, if we are awake. Someone gets up, leaves the zendo. Someone shifts in the zendo. The law of cause and effect cannot be obscured. So imagine this Hakujo number 1 having lived 500 lives as a fox, right? And still not able to break free from the stranglehold of this real kind of negative karmically producing life. I mean, he's out there killing chickens and God knows what, right? Lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, right? And something that tension, that rub, that truth of like, oh my God, I'm doing stuff and I can't stop. And help, right? There was a real cry from the depths of his heart there. He wasn't just sitting in the zendo, like grooving on mu, right? He was actually living a life of kind of misery, right? And difficulty. And guess who else is living a life of kind of misery and kind of difficulty? I can point to myself, right? It's hard to be alive. That's what the first noble truth is. Life is suffering. We're dying. We're sick. Emotionally sick, mentally impaired, certainly physically impaired. This is what it means to be human, right? It's not pretty. And some of us are really on like a tailspin into like negative karma land. I can think of a few world leaders right now, right? Most of us are just trying to like have a good day, and with the power of bodhicitta, the power of vow, and the power of precepts, those things are what give us enough oomph to be able to just not get totally sucked into the whirlwind of our life as a fox, really. So the law of cause and effect cannot be obscured. Our friend here, Hakujo, actually had to have a direct experience of just to be as it is, exactly in that fox body at that moment. Just be as you are, exactly in that fox body as he was at that moment. And at that moment, that mysterious merging of that which is beyond and cannot be fixed by anything, merged directly with what is changing all the time. And this is really what we're practicing. And of course, the mind of subject and object and duality, the intellectual mind, cannot go there. It's too confusing. It's either this or that. It can't be both, right? But actually, we're both. And it's much harder to swallow that pill when we're really messing up. Or others have really been reckless with our lives and messed up. Can we see them as Buddhas? So the real turning phrase in this commentary is this. If in regard to this you have the one eye, then you will understand that the former Hakujo enjoyed 500 lives of grace as a fox. Right? 500 lives of grace. When I read this line, I think about those nuns that minister to the prisoners on death row with such love in their hearts. This 500 lives of grace. We cannot, no matter what negative karmic condition we're in, be separated from our Buddha nature. That means everyone you meet as well. It's only our minds that think we're separated from our Buddha nature. If you want to know the Buddha, do not separate from this skin bag right here, right now, exactly as we are. So the verse, not falling, not obscuring, two faces of one die, two faces, one die, not obscuring, not falling, 1,000 mistakes, 10,000 mistakes. So you can feel Muman Khan rolling this marble of this koan around in his palm, right? So not falling was the answer that Hakujo gave, right? The first one that turned into a fox. Not obscuring was the answer that Hakujo 2, the current master, gave. Two faces, one die. Both of them completely saturated and expressing of Buddha nature. So the mind that wants to judge sometimes it's a good thing, and sometimes it really obscures. And it's hard to know. But one thing you can rely on is the mind that judges, the mind that doesn't judge. Two faces of one die. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? There's only one reality, now expressing as, oh my God, that was a great day. Oh my God, I just screwed up so badly, I can't even believe it. I am so ashamed of myself. Not obscuring, not falling. So he's turning it around, he's just flipping it around. 1,000 mistakes, 10,000 mistakes. So what about that great perfection that we are, right? Perfect, complete, lacking nothing, right? 1,000 mistakes, 10,000 mistakes. I think about, when you're in sales, it's like you have to have like 100 people say no to you before somebody says yes. Or we were just at the Science Museum getting a tour, Isabella and I, for ProMedica, and they were showing a video of scientists at work, and they're like, a scientist, they make 100 mistakes, and they just keep going, they persevere, and finally they get it right, So the reality is this perfection is not subject to getting it right or getting it wrong. And the fact of the matter is, we're mostly getting it wrong. If we're really honest, I can't even tell you how many times during the course of the day I have to course correct my mind and my heart. I was having a conversation with my best friend, my oldest friend whose father just died. And it was a little weird because I was supposed to be with my daughter, who was like, hey, you were going all weekend and you better be spending time with me. And then my best friend calling me, oh my God, I've got to talk. So I sort of sent my daughter over into some gallery somewhere, and I was just talking to her. And my daughter came out and she was giving me the evil eyes like, hey, you've had enough conversation with her, get back to me. And for some reason, I just sort of like picked up her hair and I said, oh, my daughter really needs me. I've got to go. And for whatever reason, that went through into my best friend's mind, and she's like, oh my God, your daughter? I mean, isn't it obvious that I know her name? You can just call her Isabella. She's your daughter. She just started really going off on me. So I've got Isabella on one hand giving me the evil eyes. I've got my friend on the other, on the phone. And I just start feeling like I'm in this storm of like, I don't know what to do. I'm just trying to make it through the day. You know? So that's just one example. And I know each one of us could give like 1,000 examples, 10,000 examples, right? But when we have our Dharma eye opened, this screw up, that screw up, two faces, one die. Okay, that's the important part of this koan. And this is the power of this koan. Because without that clarity of vision, of mind, of heart, then we're just bouncing around like, you know, it's a crapshoot. We just keep on getting pulled around, pulled around, pulled around. So, this is the end of this case. And I hope by now that you're kind of getting a feeling of, even if the language is kind of like obscure, speaking of obscure, or everything just kind of seems like poetry and difficult, that when we actually sort of start to live inside of the koan and let it sort of carry us and show us what's happening, that it changes us. It heals us. It helps us to realize our bodhisattva vow. This is the function of koans. Beings are numberless. I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. The Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to embody it. Beings are numberless. I vow to free Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. The Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to embody it. Beings are numberless. I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. The Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to embody.
So that concludes our service for tonight. Do we have any announcements? I have one. October 30th is our potluck, and immediately after our potluck at 2 o'clock or something, maybe it's 1:30, 1:30, we have a workshop on death and dying, specifically on the options available at the temple for funerals, memorial services, and the vision we have for the cemetery. So please join us. We'll have a lot of literature, we'll have legal forms, we'll have pretty much the whole process spelled out, and we greatly appreciate your input. So please join us 30th at 1:30. Any other announcements?
Perhaps you want to come to the retreat.
I suppose you still can. If you need to come to the retreat this weekend, it starts tomorrow night. Contact Eka, and she might be able to get you registered. I'm sure she will. And please restore the Zendo.